Hey guys, so I wanted to share this excerpt from my full Qingyi guide that goes over my thoughts on the Anby versus Qingyi discussion, and I figured it'd be less intimidating to go into this shorter version than sit through my 20-minute epic on my full Qingyi guide. So after you guys watch this, you can also check out my video on the stun showdown where we compare all 4 stun characters and their time to stun rates. So that not only covers Qingyi and Anby, but also goes over Kalita and Lycon and what their current roles are in the meta. And so with that, here we go. And engines. But before we delve into that, let's address the elephant in the room. So Qingyi is an electric stun character, which may come as a blow for all of you Anby lovers out there. The big question on everyone's mind when Qingyi was revealed was that, how does she compare to Anby? Does she play in a similar role? Is her playstyle any different? Is she just a straight up power creep, and if so, how much better is she? Does this mean that Anby is just now straight up garbage tier? Or for those who have already invested in Anby, you might also be wondering, is Qingyi still worth picking up? So before we go into the kit deep dive, I just wanted to go over a combat showcase using Anby first, and then we'll go into the exact same fight using Qingyi, and I'll just go over my thoughts on the two characters coming from someone who is pretty good at playing Anby. So I start the fight off with a defensive assist, and we'll do this across both fights. In order to make sure that the timing is consistent across both fights, we want to make sure that we eliminate phase 1 entirely, and instead I'll start the countdown timer exactly when the defensive assist parry animation appears. My Anby is running pretty much the best in slot gear. She's M6, level 16 in all talents, rocking Shockstar Disco 4-piece set and Swing Jazz 2-piece, with pretty much perfect substats for a total of 193 impact. And she's also using Kalita's signature engine for even more impact after using her EX skills, so I'm definitely giving her a fair shot here. I do however pick this map because it's a good example of a difficult encounter for Anby, as this particular boss is incredibly aggressive, so it does make it hard to get your optimal combos off, so it's a good example to use to compare to how Qingyi handles this aggression. So one thing that I do want to touch upon here is that while this gameplay that's on screen is near perfect, this took multiple attempts to do. I initially wanted to just wing it to show you guys what a more realistic run would look like, to really show you a more accurate representation of what the true difference is. But I knew that if I did that, there would be people crying in the comments saying, actually, you didn't use an EX special here to optimize your combos, so you lost 6.39 efficiency, and if you dodged left instead of right, you would have got more damage out. So to avoid all that, we're just going to go with a really clean run. But the point that I did want to push was that the main downside of Anby that Qingyi addresses is the fact that she regularly gets knocked out of her highest days combo. She's very backloaded in her days generation, with the majority of her days being locked behind her ender, and getting interrupted or having to dodge means that you now have to reset a combo from the start. With that said though, a well-played Anby has hands down the fastest time to stun values, as long as she's able to consistently land her full EX combos. And so we end this on 1 minute and 43 seconds, so let's go over to Qingyi and see how we do over there. Okay, so with Qingyi compared to Anby, I would say that there are 2 factors that you need to account for when determining if she's worth pulling if you've already got a geared out Anby, and it depends on the kind of player that you are. So what you see on screen here is actually just my first attempt at using Qingyi on this fight. You'll see that I do get hit here, and I've just left that in because it doesn't really matter, because it doesn't affect the time at all. She's got so much interrupt resistance in her kit, and her combos never break, so you can kind of just bulldoze through things. My Anby example on the other hand, I had to re-record that about half a dozen times because I would just make a small mistake and get bumped, and then I get knocked out of my combo before I could throw my EX special out. Having this happen would have resulted in a 1 to 2 second loss. So what I'm trying to say is comfort and ease in playing is a pretty big factor. Most people reviewing Qingyi will only focus on the maths, and the maths alone doesn't really paint the real picture. Now, if you're a god gamer and you're an Anby pro, then this might not really mean anything to you. So this is something that you need to factor in when you're considering this. The other factor is whether or not the improved kill times actually matter to you as a player. So Qingyi is definitely going to give you better clear times than compared to Anby. Even though her stun times might not be as fast, where she excels is the fact that she provides a massive 60% stun damage multiplier to your team. In this example here, we kill the boss in 2 stun rotations compared to the 3 stun rotations that we needed for Anby, and so this shaved off about 26 seconds of total clear time. Now you have to ask yourself, is that 26 seconds significant to you? So personally, I feel as though 26 to 30 seconds is massive from a Shiyu aspect. So you've got 5 minutes to clear 2 sides of Shiyu, which means that you've got 2.5 minutes per side. So being able to shave off 30 seconds on one side is a 20% reduction in clear times, which is pretty significant. On the other hand though, if you've got no interest in S-ranking Qingyi, or you're already easily clearing it at S-rank, then 30 seconds really doesn't matter at all when you consider just content outside of Qingyi. And so before we move on from this topic, I also wanted to reference some testing that I did with all 4 stun characters, looking solely at stun capability. So Anby still does have her place in the game, and I don't think that we really need to worry about Qingyi power creeping Anby. We can see from my test that Anby has by far the fastest stun times against medium and high daze bar enemies, and she still does very well against small daze bars, losing only to Kalita. Anby holds the crown for the Queen of Stun, but where she does lose to Qingyi is the fact that she has no team buffs outside of the base stun multiplier. So hopefully this helps you decide on whether or not it's worth pulling for Qingyi on your account, and if you wanted to see the full video on my test, I've got a link to it down below.